Givaldik. So today's be'emes Chulin Daf Mem Hey. But we're unfortunately still Mem Dalid Amid Aleph on the bottom. The last two lines of Mem Dalid Amid Aleph, yeah? Tana. Upsukas Hagageres, right? So we're up to the Psukas Hagageres, which means that the Gageres got split. That's going to be that's what's going to be today's sugi. That's what we're going to start with. Tana Kama Psukas Hagageres Beruba Raif Vikama Ruba Rav Amam. Yeah, moving to Mem Daled Amid Beis. Ruba Raif Oivia Ve'amrila Raif Chalalam. So over here, Rashi is ma'irich to say that don't think that the Roiv Oivya means the Roiv Oivya. Let me show a picture over here. We'll show a picture of the. We know the rings, how the rings go. 1 second. So we'll show. So here, here's this is the Rashi entertains a tzad, yeah, that Roiv Oivya means that you don't even have to get through the whole hole. Yeah, Roiv Oivya means he got through Roiv of the thickness, but Rashi says that is not possible. That's Shibashu. The Imkain Chobar Akonim and Aveshet. Dilu Veshet Nikei Vorachitzim B'lei Ora Pnimi Kosher Achinkav L'Cholo. Yeah, what Rashi says. Rashi says it comes that we know that the Kana only needs Roiv Chaloli. Masha Ima only needs Roiv. It's until it gets roiv. It's not a treifa. Mashen kain the veshet is with just a hole, but it comes out fakert. If you're going to say that it's that roiv, all you need is the roiv of thickness, but you don't even have to puncture through and through. So Zok Rashi is going to come out that the kana is more chamer than the veshet. So that can't be. Zok Rashi, it doesn't work like that. Zok Rashi, so what does it mean? So it's very interesting how it works. The way it works is like this. Obviously, we're talking about puncturing. But the question is, when do you say the shear? When do you say the shear? Is it roiv? Here he has a picture of what it would mean the roiv oivi if it's the roiv if it's with the halal, and if it's the roiv halal. In other words, do you go basar the roiv with including the what's called roiv? Do you go including the roiv with the oivi of the ring, or do you go bust the roiv of the circle of the halal? It's a nice gishmak svara. If you do go bust the roiv oivi, but it comes out it's the roiv oivi with the. It's a little bit not so clear exactly what the lumdis is. Do you go bust the roiv with this with the kalna included plus the ear, or is it just the halal? It's a little bit, the svar is a little bit fair, but that's how the Mefarshim explained the Gemara. It needs a little bit of more of a hesper. So Gemara weiter. There was a psukas hagageres that came in front of Rav. Now, if he's going to do he was being boy to get brave oivya, right? And Lamaisa and Rav Oivya would have made it a what's called it would have made it a more would have made it what? If you're going to do Rav Chalaloi, if you're going to just do Rav Chalaloi, so you have longer to start for the Halal. So he says, but Lamaisa, it came in front of Rav, and Rav was being machmer. He was badiklei Rav Oivya. Amulei Rav Kana Rav Asi LeRav Limadteinu Rabbeinu b'Rav Chalala. No, you taught us that that it could be makel. So Rav, very interesting. He wasn't chayzer, but Shadrei l'kamei de Rabbi Bachana. He sent it to Rabbi Bachana that he should paskin. And the Maisa Rabbi Bachana was bodka, b'roiv chalala. He was taka boydikit in the more mekeldik way. The achshara, he was machshrit. Not only was he machshrit, v'zavan mina b'tleisa istri pshiti bisra, and he himself, Rabbi Bachana says, oh, now that I just machshrit, oh, let me taka buy, and he bought 13. Isteri pshiti is the sell of Medina. In other words, it's the simple sloim, not the expensive sloim that take 4 dinerim a piece. This is an eighth of a regular dinner, right? He paid 13 istri pshiti bisra for however much meat he got. Fragt die Gemara kasha, moedige kasha, fragt die Gemara, v'heichi avid hachi, v'hatanya. How was Rabbi Bachana able to go and counter and contradict and go be and paskin, or maybe how did he himself buy for himself something that was a suffix? V'hatanya chacham shatimei, ein chaveiroi rashoy litaher. Yeah, first of all, first, I'm sorry. We're gonna ask really 3 shlavim questions about this incident. Rav was going to be machmir. Rabbi Bachana Lamaisa was mekel, and the Gemara is going to ask. And then Rabbi Bachana himself bought from this meat. So the Gemara is going to have 3 kashas on this. First of all, the Gemara kasha, how can you contradict Rav? Lamaisa chocham shetime chavei rashay l'tayir, asa en chavei rashay l'hatir. Yeah, that's kasha number 1. So the Gemara, shani hacha the Rav asa meisa. Rav lemaisa did, he was about to be asa, but he didn't lemaisa asa. So ma'ila lemaisa, it's not a problem. Now, very important that it's negel mamish la'alacha. What's this iser of chacham shatim and chaver rashay l'taher? Over here, it's a suffix. There's 2 svaros in the Rishonim, and Lamaisa it's negei la'alocha. I mean, the Ramah talks about it's mamish negei different scenarios. What the reason is the var mishum kvoide shel chacham. In other words, that since he already paskin, so mishum kvoide you can't contradict his psak. That is pshat number 1. The other pshat the other pshat that they say from the Rishonim is that it's like keilu a shavia nafshe chaticha d'isura kind of a zach. But over here, it's not a shavia nafshe, because it's not him, it's the chacham. And the question, the chacham was like shavia kechaticha d'isura. Psanaya sort zach. And the shayla is when this, and there'll be nafkaminis, which one is which. But Akaponim, the Al Gemara said that neither of them are applicable in this case because Lamaisa Rav didn't ultimately paskin. He just refrained from paskening. Okay, so we're not going to go right. We're not going to be married on this one. Lamaisa, okay, good. Okay, so good. Lamaisa. Soif kol soif, it needed a psak. And if it needed a psak, but it was questionable. If it was questionable, v'oksiv, v'oi b'Hashem alikim, hinei nafshi lo mitamav, v'nevelu treif le'echalti. We have this Gemara already by Yecheskel. Minurai v'adatav lo ibabe fi basa pegol, and we darshin, hinei nafshi lo mitamav, shlei rati b'yem v'lo v'leitum b'layla. That's Tamid, al Shmir Senayim. V'nevelu treif le'echalti, shlei echalti basa kois me'erlo. That what? That he didn't eat something that was geshachtin quickly, because the chashash and the velu treifa, like we teached. So the Maisa, it's like this. So Agavorcha, so this Gemara stam Kipshuta, this Gemara is Yecheskel Hanavi talking about his Egen Chumris. But how do you know what's the Gemara's kasha Rabbi Bachana? Lamaisa, the place can bring from this Gemara that a Baal Nefesh should be makbid on this. Not only is it a nice zach, but a Baal Nefesh should be makbid on a basa shahir by chacham. And not only that, there's a big shmuz in the Rishonim. What happens? Something that was hutar ayidei a roiv or batal b'shishim. So something that's batal b'shishim, is there a makom to be machmer or not? So there's a big machlekes achronim what we say over there. Do we say that the pshat is that over there also there's a makom to be machmer? Or fakir over there, once it's hutar, and we don't say that. And fakir, the chassidim want to say that fakir, that the reason why it was hutar was you have to be mouthed, and it's from something, whatever. But bottom line is, I heard such a thing as well. So, but the bottom line is, this Gemara is a Moridiga Sugya, a Moridiga Raif, and the fact that the Gemara is asking a Rabbi Bachana, how you talking? He's eating Ayit Hayir Bachacham. What's the kasha? It was Yecheskel Hanavi's Egena Chumra Vasatus Mituns. Vice Tois, the Gemara's understanding from the fact that it was Hutak in the Gemara in the Yecheskel was Hutak and it's brought down. So it's like everything that we know that anything that was written down is Hutzach Choderis, and this is also Hutzach Choderis. That the pshat is that we also show Bal Nefesh should be machmer on something shehayra by Chacham. Anyway, fact the Gemara, Hani Mili Milsa, the Talia Bisvara. That's something if it's a question of. So Rashi says Svara over here. Interesting. I would say Svara means reasoning, right? But that's not what Rashi says over here. Over here, Rashi says Svara means something that takes discernment, something that takes an expert eye, comparing or measuring. Like these, we're going to have different cases where you're going to compare, you're going to put one thing next to the other to see the color. That's what's the Talia B'Svara. I don't know how it stems with the word of Talia B'Svara. Rabbi B'chan Agmore Samach. He was relying on what he had learned. A memra, so that over there, there's no makom to be machmir once it is a hayr b'chacham. Yeah. So again, we had one question. Stamazay, how could you contradict the psak? The teretz is that Rav didn't make a psak completely, so Mela was no problem. Then we had another shaila of hayr b'chacham, and that we had the teretz is that is agmare pasak. It makes a difference if it's a svar samach or agmare samach. Now, for the Gemara on Nutzad, v'teipeklei mishum chashodam. Yeah, and over here there's a very interesting Rashi. Yeah, v'teipeklei mishum chashodam. Let's first see the Gemara, and we'll see what the very interesting Rashi. The Marshal, the Maram, the Rashash, everybody muches on this Rashi. V'teipeklei mishum chashodam. What's the Gemara? What's the v'teipeklei mishum chashodam? The Tanya. Donasadin zika. Donasadin zika v'chiev. Time v'tiyer asa v'hitter, whatever he did, all different kinds of psukim that a working rabbi does, right? V'chein ha'edim she'idu kulam rashaim likach. If they want, after whatever they paskin, now it's good, now it's done. If they want, they can go take part. If now that it's kosher, it's kosher, and they can take part. Shmek nish good. It doesn't look good, right? And what's the pshat? Zok Rashi, very pashut, because it looks like you had that the reason that you had the understanding or the or maybe even spoke about it clearly that the guy told you, listen here, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. That the pshat is that if you'll paskin that it's good, if you paskin it's mine, if you paskin it's Torah, whatever, all those psukim, I'll give you a good deal. Right? That's why it's harchik menakir menadayim. So somebody who was actively matir this piece of this something, he should not go ahead turn around and buy from it, because it looks like there was some kind of a kanunya. That's the Gemara. I'm sorry? Right, and that's how Rashi explains as well, that it looks like that he paskin wrong, right? It looks like he paskin like this because he had a vested interest in his psak. Yeah, Rashi says, that the reason why he paskin, the reason why he said that Ruvain won the daira is because Ruvain told him, listen here, if you paskin like me, I'll sell to you for cheaper. I'll give you a good deal. Yeah, such a kind of, that's very gishmak. However, when the Gemara says mishum chashada, when the Gemara has the kasha mishum chashada, the Gemara says d'loy limru mishum d'shaya nihile moizel gabe. Okay. V'nira kinaytos char al ha'ra'asai. You know what the problem is? Naytos char al ha'ra'asai. What do you mean? Well, Rashi should have said the problem of chashad is that maybe he paskin wrong. Why are we saying that the whole problem is al naytos char al ha'ra'asai? That is the kasha that all the achronim say. Ask. So Mashal says, Mashal says that it's like it looks like he took schar al hayra also, and once he was over that issa, that's why he was over the issa. He's paskin wrong. So white Rashi, yeah. It's shver on both sides. First of all, who says noitul schar al hayra also? Maybe it's in Gansen out. He stamps paskin wrong, and why in Rashi it's a kachasa, and the Maram says interessant. The Maram says that the pshat is that it's true that most of the kiyars, the problem is that we're afraid he's wrong. Mashenkin, when it comes to something that's going to be eating, over there's no chashash that he's going to go paskin wrong and then eat it himself. No makom to be choishish like that. How can he be choishish that he's going to go paskin wrong and then eat it himself? No one's going to. The Rashash is moisif like the Tosis in Daf-Yomi Beis, famous Tosis that the pshat is gnaihu l'tzadik, that he should eat something that's aser. Nobody's going to go and paskin wrong and then eat it himself. That's not a chashash. We're not choishish for that. No, the chashada is, and no one's going to even, in other words, there's no chashada because no one's going to think that someone did that. What's the chashada? The chashada is only that he's taking skar out.
Paskin wrong, it does not mean to paskin wrong. He made a mistake.
Oh, very good. Wow, I didn't even think of that. You're saying very good. He's pushing. Yeah, but it's right.
So maybe he could eat it.
So it's a chashad that he took this stuff and now he got it wrong. And now he got it wrong.
But he does not know about it.
Tiny good. I think you very good. Yeah. Okay.
The only thing could be
I want to say like this. Over here it's unusual. Why? Because over here we just got finished saying that it's not Asvara Samech, it's Agmare Samech, right? In other words, that what? Why did Rabbi Barachana come to add to this conversation here? Everybody knew that it was Roiv Chalolei and not Roiv Oivyoi, right? So in other words, depending on the rules, it's not about this specific case. It wasn't in question. Everybody knew that that's what this neck was, right? The question is, what's the rules? What's the halacha? There's no mock now. So is there a tzad to say that Rabbi Barachana paskined because of this one shtickle fleish? He paskined the wrong. He changed the halacha, the whole halacha of that it's Roiv Chalolei for Kol HaTorah Kula. From now on, it's going to be Roiv Chalolei because of his one little piece of flesh? Of course not. V'haraya, there's no makom to be machmir on Rabbi Barachana. There's no makom to be machmir. There's no makom to be machmir from now on. For Rabbi Barachana, it's always going to be also to eat a Roiv Chalolei because he paskined it once. Yeah. The only shaila is in this piece of meat. A question comes to you, to a rabbi, that piece of meat, could he not take? No, it's only that piece of meat. But there's no makom to say that every time a rav said a psak in Chulin, now from now on, he can't eat anything that's within that psak. So if you said the halacha is that shechting, you need a roiv shnayim is okay, from now on he can't eat all roiv shnayims, because he paskin roiv shnayim. Right? Avadana. Why not? So what's the Agdara? The Agdara is that when he's saying a rule we don't assume that he's gonna say a rule based on one piece of flesh. If it's about it's a question of this piece of meat, maybe he'll fudge the things about this one piece of meat. But the rules, he's not going to go change, obviously, because of Haraya. There's no makom to be machmer on the guy for all meat from now on. Every time there's a Rav Shnayim, right? That's Pasha. So over here, what's the most kasha of Chashad? What do you mean? There's no Agmari. It was Agmari Pasak, Agmari Samach. The whole Rabbi Barachana was not introducing any specific case about here. He said a halacha. The halacha is that you go basa roiv chalolei, not basa roiv chalolei, not roiv oivyoi. So memela, there's no makom to be machmir to be choishish that he changed all the rules. We said there's no makom. If you said a new halacha, then there's no makom to be machmir. So Meil's Rashi, we're not choishish that he maybe changed the rule. But the question is, maybe he got a little bit of Since we're choishish that there is kinonias, so let's be choishish over here also. There's kinonia as well. That was affecting Gemara. The lemaisa. Since we're choishish, it looks like he might have had a conversation with the guy beforehand. So this also would be a chashad. Does a Rashi, because it can't be that we're choishish that maybe he paskin wrong, because it's choishish he paskin wrong. So now from now on, Rev Chaloli, not just this piece of meat. From now on, he shouldn't be able to eat any Rev Chalolis. Sagt die Gemara, okay. And for the Gemara, Hani Mili Mizdav Mishuma. And all these chashashes are only something that's sold that's sold, it's don't have set prices. If it doesn't have a set price, so in it could be that he gave him a good deal. Hacha meskala muchach. Over here, it's sold by the pound, and the pound is very, very clear. And Mamela, everyone knows that he's not getting a good deal because he's paying like everybody else exactly the same amount. He bought 13 Esther Pshiti. He bought exactly a specific price, and therefore he paid the regular price, and therefore there's no makom to be have a chashad. Ki the Rabbi V'shara Tarfasa. It's Rava. The Rava Sharu Tarfisov Zava Mina Bisra. Rava was Mater Treifa, and he bought from it meat. He said, "Oh, Givaldik, you hear? Givaldik." They brought the animal. They had a Shaila Treifus. They brought it to Rava, and Rava says, "Oh, you hear, Mamash, a delivery. Givaldik, let me buy a piece." Yeah. Zava Mina Bisra. Amrli Basar Chizda, his wife, Basar Chizda says, "Abba Shari Bukhra v'lo Zava Mina Bisra." When his father was Mater or Bechor, he didn't buy a Bisra. What's the case of Mater Bechor? The case of Mater Bechor is that the halacha is a Bechor. Nowadays this happens as well. If an animal gives birth to a Bechor, so Avada, it has Kedushas Bechor, and Avada, we can't eat it until, you can't eat it, we don't have a base of Mikdash, so you can't eat it out of the base of Mikdash, except, what do? Once it gets a mum, then it can be eaten, right?
You have to give the mum?
What? You're not allowed to give them mum. That's the whole thing. You're not allowed to give them mum. So famous case. I don't know. I know that when in the early years in Yerushalayim, when they started one of the incidents that happened. And this is I believe in Yerushalayim Shamayla. One of the incidents that they had was that they decided that they're gonna invest in a cow and they're gonna have milk for the hospital, the Chulin hospital. They're gonna have a cow there. Anyway, the kids their mazel. This cow gave So it gave birth right away to a Bechor, and they were stuck with it for years and years and years. They ended up having to, not only did it become cheaper, it became much more expensive. They had to keep this Bechor, they had to keep it there and sustain it until they finally got a mum. Anyway, Zok to Gemara.
What became cheaper or expensive?
So, and this is the big thing about the Kohanim Mutaka always nechshad that they were putting in a mum. They were nechshad on this lemaisa, and you have to hire a chacham. You have to go to a chacham to get a psak that it's a good mum, because this is a very, very big monetary issue over here that the bukhar is worthless until it gets a mum, right? So the Gemara. So Basar of Chizda, Rava's wife, is telling Rava that I want you to know that my father, when people would bring an animal, he would not buy from it. When for him to check the semen, he would not buy. So Rava told her, perfects the kasha. Hani mili buchra da shuma mizdavin. Hacha miskala mochach. That what? The same teretz that we said before. Over there, we're talking about a bukhar, and a bukhar is not allowed to be sold in the market. If it can't be sold in the market, so it's only ashuma, meaning that there's a price. You give a price, but it's not a set price. That there's no set price. If there's no set price, so then you have to be chayshish that maybe he got a bargain. Mashenkin over here, it's regular set price. There's a certain amount that meat is sold a certain amount for the price per pound, and mela there's no makom to be there's no makom for chashash. My ikka, so this is Rav was feared ice. My ikka mishum ma'isam. You'll tell me there's a chashash that the ma'isa I'm doing it. You know why I'm pasking it? Because the guy is going to give me a better cut of meat. He's going to give me a better cut of meat. Nowadays, there's prices for every part of meat. I guess they weren't as specific in those days. They used to pay it by the pound, and then you had to be lucky to get a good gishmaka steak as opposed to chleisvos, as opposed to some chunk meat. Anyway, so my ikim shum umtzamali. So you tell me that I made this psak. My negias was to get a better piece cut. Everyone knows that for Rava they give me always a nice good piece of meat anyway, and there's no makom to be chayshish that he paskined otherwise because of this gemara. So you want to write down Rav Chizda? If you want to know what a Talmud Chacham is, and Toysa says, what do you mean? What's in the get Talmud Chacham? A Talmud Chacham that could be trusted by Aveda. That he machzion le'avidasa b'tvias ayin. He's what? He's somebody who is roya trei filatzma. In other words, that he's enough, not a chaymed money that he's ready to see a treifa even on his own animal. And I saw this vertical over here. It's a play on words, but the pshat is here's somebody who's roya treifa la'atzma. He's not just on his animals, but it's in his egeda, in his own person, in his as that the treifa from shechalei. Yeah, from Jich. Yeah. Ve'amar Rav Chizda zeh usoyin matanis yichye zeh roya treifa la'atzma. That's a soyin matanis again, because the pshat is because here's somebody who's obviously not his own money. He's going to be what? Yeah, he's not chaymin money. Darish mazot m'rivshein derav Chizda kol mi shekoyre v'shoyne v'roya treifa la'atzma v'shimish tamid chachamim. Okay, what did he do? He's koyre. He learned mikra, right? V'shoyne is mishnayis. V'roya treifa la'atzma v'shimish tamid chachamim. What's Shimish Tamid Chachamim? Shimish Tamid Chachamim, we know, is what Shimish Tamid Chachamim. Rashi explains. Shimish Tamid Chachamim is Gemara. Why? Because Rashi explains. What is Gemara? We said Gemara is, we say this many, many times, Gemara is the decoding of Mishnayos. Shimish Tamid Chachamim means that he was taught the skills of asking a Mishnah against another Mishnah and decoding and recognizing what the Mishnah is meant to say. That is what Shimish Tamid Chachamim are. So, so the question is, so good, the Roya Treifel Atzmo is the Yagia Kapecha. But where do we see a pasuk for the Kaya V'Shoina and the Shimish Tamid Chachamim? Azoi frek the shita. So the shita says enechanami. It's going on the other part of the pasuk. It says Ashrei Kol Yirei Hashem, Ashrei Kol Yirei, right? Ashrei Kol Yirei Hashem, and then it's Yigech Yabach Yisrael is going on the Roya Treif Latzmoi. So the question is, so what's the seder? He says Kol Mi Shekoyre V'Shoina V'Roya Treif Latzmoi. First he's Koyre V'Shoina. The Roya Treifel Atzmai is somehow sandwiched in between the Koyre V'Shoina and the Shimish Tamid Chachamim. There's a Roya Treifel Atzmai, and we're saying that it's coming from two different psukim. What's going on over here? So I want to suggest a different shot. I want to suggest that Marzut Mishvei Rav Chizda is telling us what's the pshat in the Ashrecha V'Toivlach. You want to know Ashrecha V'Toivlach? You want to know why somebody's Yagia Kapecha Kisoichal is Ashrecha V'Toivlach? Because he's self-sufficient. He's self-sufficient. He doesn't have to go look Vasa Bayenim to Gamvinim from Yenim, to Chapim from Yenim. He's a Yagia Kapecha Kisoichal. Whatever he has, he's self-sufficient. He right? You know what I mean? The famous, right? He's self-reliant. Rav Chizda, the Yagia Kapecha Kisoichal is on everything. It's on not only we're not talking about somebody who is just self-reliant when it comes to food. By Psakim also, he's a Koyer V'Shoina V'Shimish Tamid Chachamim, and Mamela he doesn't have to go run to his Pesach because he's self-reliant. So Avadu, we're talking about a Yagia Kapecha and everything that he doesn't have to come on to anybody. He is self-reliant. That's what we want to say, and that's the pshat why the Gemara is saying All of them together. So now what's the Seder? Very geschmack. The Seder is because this is the Seder of a person's life. He's Koyer V'Shoina. That's when he's a little kid. Then he goes to business. He's Raya Treifel Atzmoy. And then it comes Shimush Tamid Chacham. He's a Gans 11. He's already a Gans 11. Daf Harvin Af Gemara. So the Gemara write Rav Zida Mazoich V'Neichel Shtei Olam Olam Hazeh Olam Haba. Shrecha Olam Hazeh V'Tov Lach Olam Haba. Yeah, but I'm suggesting that Rav Chisda in the first word was not saying that Ashrecha v'Toiv Loch is all talking about is Shtei Olamis. Ashrecha v'Toiv Loch is just that the reliance, the self-reliance itself, is a tremendous amount of confidence. When they would send something, a present from the Bein Nasiya, Lo Shakal, he wouldn't take because he wouldn't take anything because Seder Matanas. And when they would invite him, he wouldn't come. You don't want me to live? You're going to go give me Matanas? I'm not going to live. Reb Zera had a slightly different policy. When they would send something, he wouldn't take. He's like Matanas. But when they invited him, then he went. Why? Moving on to Memhei, is Yakure Hudim is Yakrubi. He says, when I'm going there, they're not giving me anything. I'm giving them. I am giving them a covet by coming to their banquet. It's not. I'm not giving them a ton of akert. I'm giving them. They're not giving me. So what? Now comes the ganze sugya of nikva. Okay. Amar Rabbi Amar Rav nikve kenapa mitztarfen leruba. So what does it mean, nikva kinapa? Nikva kinapa means that it has a hole, but it has a whole bunch of. So let me quickly do the pictures. 1 second. Let me cue it up. 1 second. So what's a napa is a sieve, right? So nikva kinapa is you have a whole bunch of holes, but it's not. They're along a line, but there's a whole bunch of little dots. Yeah. Now agav orcha, there is a big machlokes rishonim how. When you measure it, if you go basaroiv, you don't go basaroiv, do you add the what's in between or just the holes itself? But there's like 4 shittas in the Rishonim exactly how to go. But we're not gonna be married in this. But that's this Gemara. So it's mitzdarf. So the question is, are the little holes just mitzdarf, just the holes themselves, or even the oimid as well? So ganze shmuz. Yes, a kasha. There's a halacha legabi. We had this case legabi Thomas oil, and over there you need a gulgoilus. So gulgoilus is the skull when it's the geben. What's mitam oil? Ubegulgoilus sheishba nekev echad oro chafilu yeshba nekavim harbe mitzdarfin lemale mektach. So they're mitzdaref to the share of mali mektach, which is the share of a drill's holes. A drill has a hole, and it's mitzdaref. No matter what the roundness is, it's mitzdaref to the hole of a round. Alma kivin the shiure mali mektach, the mali mektach mitzdarfen. Hachanam kivin the shiure liki isa mitzdarfen. In other words, the Gemara's kasha like this. There's 2 shiurim when it comes to the neck. There's a share of psuka. Psuka is cut, and over there the share is a roiv. Mashenkin, the share when it comes to a hole is a share of ki'iser, meaning the size of an iser is a coin. That's what happens if there's a hole in the neck. There the share is not roiv, it's ki'iser. So frak the Gemara. So just like we have by the Gogrelos, you have that that a whole bunch of little dots go is mitzdarif to moli mektach. Over here also it should be mitzdarif, and it should be to what? It should go. The share should be ki'iser and not the roiv of psukas hagageres. Zakti Gemara, I'll tell you. Ishtamitze hada amrav chabli amrav cham bagoria amarav nikavim sheish b'hem chisaroin mitzdarfen likiisar shein b'hem chisaroin mitzdarfen leruba. That what? Here's the rule. There's 2 separate things. There's a rule of where something is a hole and the thing that was there is missing, and then there's a hole, a puncture that nothing is missing. So if there's a hole and there's nothing missing, so then it goes to share of psukas hagageres. However, if something is missing, then the share is ki'isar and not and you need it to be mitzaref to ki'isar for once it's mitzaref ki'isar, it will already be nifsal. And let me show this in a picture. 1 second here. This is on the nikavim sheyesh b'hem chesaron. In other words, there's a hole. It's not just punctured. There's a hole missing. So then it's mitzaref ke'iser. If you have it all together, it's going to be mitzaref ke'iser the shear. Mashenkin, if you have right, Mashenkin, if the shear is in the nikavim she'ein b'hem shear, if it's okay, that's the next case. But nikavim she'ein lahem shear, which is a much smaller shear, then which don't have a hole, then you'll have the halacha of this is already the Gemara before. 1 second. It's not gonna be totally in ki'iser. It's just gonna be a psukas hagageres. So the Gemara right. Yeah. Amar Rabbi Chanan Rabbi Shua ben Levi nitlim and a ritzua mitzarefes legeisam. If let's say a ritzua was taken out, so it's mitzarefes legeisa, because this is again nitlim imena ritzua. If you took away a little strip, so again, if something is missing, so this is in the kam sheish bechesaron, the kam sheish bechesaron, it goes keiser. Boy, minei Rabbi Yitzchak minei Nachmani minei Rabbi Shua ben Levi nikva kenapa ma. What's the halacha by nikva kenapa? Amalei, what kind of shayla? Amalei, hari amru nikavim sheish behem chesaron mitzarefes legeisa. If it has a hole, if it's a hole with and the flesh is missing, so then it's keiser. Shein behem chesaron mitzarefes leruba. What's the shayla? It's like then, but oif amai. What's going to be by oif? Because oif obviously doesn't make sense. You should go big keiser. Rashi explains, right? Because that's so much bigger. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak ben Nachmani ledim mifashim b'nei Rabbi Lezer mikalfoi umenichoi al pi hakana im koifes roiv hakana treif avim lav sheiram. Rav Papa v'simonach nafyo. So Rashi explains like this. Rashi explains, this is what we do. You cut around it, cut around the area, cut around the whole area, mekalfoy around it, and then you fold it in and see if it's gonna cover up roiv of the circumference of the thing. If it's roiv, if it's covers over the roiv, it's a problem, and if not, it's not a problem. That is what the Gemara says. And the simonach kinafya, that this is ke'ain kinafya, how they made it. They have a round thing, and they put something over it. The same thing over here. You have the kana, and you're folding it over on top of it. That is the way you show. Okay, so the Gemara weiter. Yeah, so the Gemara. Let's move. Nifchas sokidalis. What happens if, let's say, it didn't have? It's not this now. So far we spoke about puncturing and holes where the flesh is taken away, right? Now this is a middle darga, meaning that it's not just a puncture because it is somewhat taken out, but it's still attached because it's like a hanging door, right? A hanging chad. 1 second, let me show you the picture. Yeah, nifchas sokidalis is this case. What's the halacha? Yeah, it's like a door. It opens and closes, yeah? So over here, the Gemara is going to say it's also ki'iser, but it's we'll see in the Gemara inside, yeah? Nifchas hakedalas, Amar Av Nachman, Kidei she'yikones iser l'rochboi. That iser should be able to go l'rochboi. Now the question is, what does it mean? Kidei she'yikones iser l'rochboi, right? Well, we already had a share of iser. Zok Rashi, that this is not this regular share of iser. The regular share of iser is not that it could be able to go in and out. This is a share of being able to go in and out. That's what Zok Rashi. Well, the iser, yeah. So it's a little bit bigger. That's Zok Rashi. Now the shvakite over here is like this. The Gemara says Kidei she'yikones iser l'rochboi, right? Kidei she'yikones. And Rashi says in and out. And as I paskin all the poskim that it's in and out. The shadow is where Rashi got in and out. Where did Rashi get the in and out? L'chura, it should have just said Kidei she'yikones. there should go in. That's the kasha, the Madani Yamtus kasha. It's a pliya. Where did Rashi get it from? Rashi says in and out, very mufurish. Yeah? What's the word? What? It's a more to get shver Rashi over here. Yeah? 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 What's the word? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sagt die mal weiter, Nistika. Let's go weiter Nistika. What's with the halacha by Nistika? Okay, so Nistika is the opposite, right? And this is very interesting. Now we're talking about, until now we're always talking about a cut this way. We're always talking about a cut that's going to cut that's going to split the. Let me. This picture from the Sichas Chulin, all the Svarim, they have it in Mesivta also printed this point. This picture this is very important. Like this. This is really what Rashi says. Rashi says that a split like this, like the top one, where it's going the width of the kana. So the Lamaisa, it's gonna eventually pull apart totally. Why? Because you have the lungs are pulling on the bottom and the mouth is pulling on top, and they're pulling apart. So it's gonna be since the pressure are from the two ends, so it's gonna pull them apart eventually, and the kana it's never gonna heal. Fakir, it's gonna separate. So Mamela, once you get a rive over there, it's a problem. However, in the bottom one, fakert. Over there, the bias is the other way, because over there, since it's only being pulled from the top and the bottom, so therefore it's like held closed, and over there it's not nishkeferlach fakert. It's very, very hard to make it into a thing. So what's the shear? Right? Oh, he shows the picture, right? The ray is pushing down, the mouth is pulling up. So what's the problem, right? So over here, Zok Gemara. Nistika Amarav. All you need is a chulya on top and a chulya on the bottom, and you're good. Now, what's a chulya? So Rashi says chulya might mean one ring, or a chulya means like by tzitzis that it means 3 rings. Over here also means 3 rings. Yeah, 2 pshatim Rashi says. Yeah, So they said it over in front of Rabbi Yochanan, this thing from Rav that he said the chulya lachas l'mayla chulya. Ma chulya. What's this chulya business? To call my Rav. What do we need a chulya b'chal? Ela eima afilu nishtayim be'ela mashu l'mayla mashu l'matik sheru. A mashu is enough. Amru kamed Rabbi Yochanan mishmei Rabbi Yonasan hachi, and then they told Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yonasan Taka also said a mashu. Amalu yadin chavrim bavloi leferushi k'aytaim. Oh, the Rabbi Yonasan that came from Bavel. They Taka know how to learn. So can good learn in k'aytaim. Zok the Martana to turn Rabbi Chia by Yosef kamed Rabbi Yochanan kol atzav kosher l'shchita. Mitabasa gedoylo ahad kanfein reya tachtoino. What does this mean? Oh, very interesting. So over here, I mean, there's a lot of shitas, but we're not going to go into the shitas. We're going to just talk about the pshat of like Rashi. Kolatzav kosher l'shchita means the whole neck is kosher l'shchita. Mitabasa gedoylo. So this Rashi is going. We're not paskin is going like Isa Yehuda, and it's not going like the way we paskin, right? Rashi says we go from the shipui kaiva, not from the tabasa gedoylo. We go a little bit further higher. Ad kanfei reya hatachtoino, which means up till the lobes of the lung hatachtoina. Now we don't mean tachtoina really. We don't mean the bottom ones. We mean the top ones. What does it mean? Kanfei reach tachtoina. When it's standing upside down, these are hanging down. Amarav tachtoina she'el yoina, the top ones. Shani ayma kosher peshat savara v'roya ubavad shloiteon heis. In other words, like this. So let me show you a picture, and we'll explain it from there. 1 second. Ultimately, it's going to mean like this picture, right? Kanfei reya up till here, where the lungs are when the animal's turning upside down. So the reya, the lungs are this is how far up they fall. So therefore, you can't cut anywhere lower than this, right? But he's going to so that what does he mean hatachtoina? We mean when the animal is standing upside down. That's what we mean the tachtoina, right? Because that's how they would open up the animal. That's how they do the hefshid. That's how they would find and look at it. So that's what we mean tachtoina, right? Now what's a negeya? But obviously, what we mean to say is that not all the whole neck is good. There is a part of the neck that's not. There is a part of the kana that's a problem that we're going to see later on that it has a din like a reya. It doesn't have a din like the kana, and therefore its share is going to be a nekev mashu and like the reya, and not a share of roiv that the kana has. Yeah. Kosher Pashat Savara Varoya, that is going to be considered the neck, but the rest is considered the something that's not going to be Pashat Savara Varoya. That's what's going to be that's part of the neck. Everything else is part of the lung, and therefore it's going to have a din of the reya. So Gemara. What happens? If I'm going to pull it out, that's already not considered part of the neck. But however, onsa atzma, is that considered part of the neck or not? Mau teku. The Gemara says teku. Now over here, interessant, because over here the Gemara says teku, and the Gemara and Rashi says it goes. It's Rashi says it is we go to chumrah. Rashi famously paskins in all of Chulin. Rashi paskins la halacha, and he says you go to chumrah. The problem is the chumrah is a suffix in treifus. So suffix in treifus. Why do we go to chumrah? So here there's a lot of Torah that Rashi's about if there's chazakis. If do we say chazakis? We don't say chazaka when it is. There's a famous verse from the Mishnah Melech that he says that when it's a suffix in psak, we don't say a chazaka. And there's a lot of Torah on why the Yeshivas all talk about it. This is a big address for that. Something more about the we have to finish to the bottom of it. Yes, Rabbi Yechon Rabbi Shimon Lakish Nafik Musa Mibinayu. Onas b'simon v'shachat psula niklev hakana lemata menachaz anidin kereya. That the pshat is that if it was onas b'simon v'shachat this psula, because if he pulled out the simonim, so that's already is psula. Niklev hakana lemata menachaz anidin kereya. And if it got a hole anywhere under that place, is nidin kereya. It's like the lung. And by the way, the lumdis is that Chazal understand that the pshat is the neck, the kana is the part that that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave this cow to transfer its head to the grass, to the floor, to move, to bend down. Anything that's not part of that is not part of the neck. It's not part of the function of the neck. It's not part of the neck. And that's why honest atzma, if you pull it out, it's for sure not part of the neck. But the question is, honest atzma, if it pulls itself out, is that part of the function of the neck or it's not part of the function of the neck? So the more right there. Yeah, what I'm telling you is that the pshat is that Chazal are reading up what the function of the neck is, and that's for they're deciding what's called the neck and what's called the reya. So to my right, we saw this already. What is the chaza? Hey, we're talking about the chaza of a sheikh that goes to the kohen. That which is the what? It's the breast of the animal, right? It's the breast of the animal. Chaza, Rashi says, is the part that sees. It's the chest that sees the floor. Chaza zeh haroyes akarka. Yeah, lemate right. Chaza zeh haroyes akarka. Lemate ad hatzavor, lemayla ad hakeres. The bottom, again, over here, again, we're talking about the animals upside down. The back feet are up. So lamata is ada tzaver up till the neck. Lamayla ada keres is up till the stomach, meaning up to where the meat that covers over the stomach, up till the stomach starts. Right? Choitich shteit salois mishteit defanis elich ve'elich vezeu chaza hanitn lekayim. And it seems like he takes away gives them two ribs. Stam it seems like it's stam as a foreign thing to give him the two ribs, and you give him the chaza, and that's what's nitn lekayim. Let's just move over to the next stick of Gemara real quickly. I have to show you a picture of the chaza. 1 second. Here's the chaza, right? The chaza is this piece. this piece, right? Here's the where the neck starts, right? Here's where the neck starts. This is what we call the mata, because the animal's standing upside down. This is where the stomach ends. So this is right here's the stomach sticking out. So the stomach ends. This is up till here's where you. So this piece of meat is what we're talking about, right? So and lemaisa, so that is the chaser. That's what the kohen should get. Lemaisa, the Gemara says choitech. He takes a one rib from here and one rib from the other side. Now it's a machlekes Rashi and the other Rishonim if you get two ribs from each side or one rib from each side, and that's what he gives, and that's what he goes to. That goes to kohen. Okay, should we stop here or should we?